What is going on, guys? I'm gonna try and keep my voice semi down. My daughter is asleep. It is a very late hour right now. It's about midnight, and I usually don't record any videos at midnight, but I just thought, you know what? This is a perfect chance to make some content and talk about kind of what I'm experiencing right now. So this is the reality of selling Pokemon cards, part 3. As I sit here late hours in the night, I've been listing cards for an hour, and I think, what is my time worth right now? What is my time actually worth? That's something that should be thought about while you're going through this process. In my case, I have a huge collection, not the best collection, not the biggest collection, but big enough that I feel like I'm drowning. There is so much product. Not only is there a bunch of modern sealed product sitting in my garage that I haven't even gotten to that. I haven't even started to look at that stuff and see, what can I do there, which that's probably going to be a long-term play, whereas in a couple of years I could sell that stuff and get my money back after the fees and shipping costs, which you definitely need to take into account because it is not rainbows when you are selling modern sealed product. One thing that a lot of people tend to not talk about is the cost of the fees and the shipping expenses. And maybe you push that onto your buyer, but if you're going to take on that cost on your own, it's going to be very expensive. So the whole idea of investing in modern sealed product or investing in sealed product in general in Pokemon and making gains on it, I don't think that there's plays to be made there right now, right? Those are very long-term plays that are slow plays, right? And that's going to be an opportunity cost, right? If you're buying cases and cases, and I'm guilty of buying one case of every set, but I don't even think that's that crazy. That's something that I put it in my closet. I don't even think about it. But in the long term, you really don't want to be hoarding all this product to a point where you're in my position and you've been just straight up collecting, not selling, not trying to flip, which I think there's going to be some disagreements here because there's people that definitely believe that it's just a part of being a collector. I never really considered that. I never really considered that selling and flipping, that's a part of being a collector. I always felt like, no, I collect what I like. I buy the things that I like, and I'm not worried about the money. I'm not worried about the investment purpose of it. And I've started to become, very in tune to seeing Pokemon as kind of an investment, more so than a luxury. And basically the situation that I'm in now is I've got all this stuff that I've been hoarding over the years and collecting, and not even during the boom, I wasn't really focused on selling my stuff. I was really, even now, even as I'm posting stuff online, I'm really struggling to actually let go of this stuff, because to me it's there's no amount of money that even matters for this stuff. This stuff is really cool. It's got, there's stories and memories involved, the people that I met, the collections that I purchased, the connections that I made. All that stuff makes selling this such a chore, because one, I never really knew that I was going to be in this position, selling stuff on eBay, selling stuff on Mercari, and while it's been very successful, it just feels like it's not really worth the time and the effort and the work. And so that's something that I want to talk about. Not just that, I'm struggling to let go of my collection and sympathize for me because, it's so tough selling my Pokemon card. That's not what this video is about. This video is just about telling the reality, being transparent as a seller and a collector, and saying that, you got to be careful what you're collecting, because one day that day might come where you do want some more equity and you do want to have more liquidity and you want your money earning for you in other ways. And, you kind of say, okay, where do I even start? Where do I start? There's slab stuff, there's sealed product, there's vintage product, there's really valuable grail cards, there's my theme decks, there's so much stuff. I don't even know where to begin. And, one of my friends said, I think you're hoarding at this point, and they're spot on with it. I mean, I have never been really that risk averse. I've always been open to taking risks and trying new things and doing things unorthodox. And in this case, I decided after a long, time investing in the stock market and trying to make trades there and make money there, I decided to put a bunch of money the last couple of years into Pokemon. And I still stand by that. If, another one of my buddies, sent me a text tonight. It was like, if my collection went to zero, I'd be fine. You can't invest money that you can't stand to lose. And that's just a very traditional way of thinking. And it's right. It's not wrong. But in this case, I would be fine if everything went to zero. I really would be fine, but I'm also just trying to get the money that I put into it back out. And what I'm trying to say to you guys is it's very, very difficult when you've got, $100,000 in my example in this hobby, and you're trying to get some of that equity back out. It takes a long time. You are up late nights listing stuff. I can't even act like I've done that much either. I've got about 400 sales now on the two platforms, and I've probably brought in around $20,000, right? And when you take taxes out of that equation, okay, that's 18. And when you take fees out of that equation, let's just say another 3. So really I've gotten like 15 back. I'm a long way away from getting all of that money back out. And I had banked on several things. I thought, the bar that I'm, operating was going to do tremendously well, which it has been doing tremendously well. We've been, seeing growth every single month, but it's not enough, and it's not enough to outpace my spending, and my habit of collecting is kind of like my full-time hobby. I mean, this is really where I spend all of my free time, straight up. I don't do anything else. I don't play video games. I don't watch movies. I don't watch TV. I rarely do any of these other things. If I'm not doing stuff around the house, if I'm not running the bar, if I'm not ordering product, if I'm not doing stuff that's just my day-to-day, then I'm doing Pokemon stuff. And I'm spending so much time, like, just forget about the YouTube and doing videos. I'm spending so much time researching stuff, watching the market, buying cards, and now in this position of selling cards, that it's like I'm investing way too much time. And I think it's inevitable for anybody that's collecting the way I have, and you're just kind of want a little piece of everything, right? That's how I feel. There isn't like a niche that I'm solely focused on. I used to only buy and invest in theme decks, and that actually has been a winning thing for me to collect and invest in, because I've been able to buy what I like and get my money right back out of that product. So it's been a fantastic way for me to collect. But as I've branched out into things that I know less about, like, valuable singles and, modern alt arts and older vintage, high value cards, I'm realizing that, you really have to know your stuff if you're in this hobby. You have to know everything down to a T, down to the population reports, down to what the card sold for, a day ago or a week ago or in the same month. You have to know so much information to just keep your money in this hobby. Now, there are so many plays out there. There are so many good things about this hobby. I've invested so much time, and it's not going to be in vain. Everything is led up to a point where now, collecting moving forward, I'm going to be very careful about the things that I put my money in. And those things are going to be things that I'm going to think, okay, how difficult would it be for me to get my money back out of this product? How difficult would it be? That's a question that you're seriously going to have to ask yourself. And only you know what your financial situation is and what you're capable of doing. But in my case, one thing I've been asking myself is, okay, now I know for the cheaper holographic cards that I've bought over the years, collections that I've bought, cards that are like $20 here, $15 here, $30 here. That stuff, very time consuming for me to now list that stuff and try to start selling it, right? Whereas the stuff that I've been collecting recently, and very slowly, take this Gold Star Pikachu, for example, right here. That card I paid $2,300 for. It's very popular, it's very liquid, and if I wanted to sell that card today, I know that a recent sale went for $2,600, so I know that I could get my money right back out of that product. Those are the kind of things that I want to invest in moving forward, and I feel like a lot of collectors, and if you're looking at this strap, this is my little Pikachu fanny pack. It's been on since I got back from the bar, so let's just keep it at that. That's why that's there, just habit. But my point is, like, for you guys that are out there that are just buying auctions, looking for cheap deals, looking for cheap flips, just make sure if you are buying cards that are, sub $10, sub $20, you're looking for some easy plays to make, or you can make a little bit of money here and there, no high risk plays. Just know that if you are stocking up on that stuff, you have to move it as you're buying it. Otherwise, you're gonna be in a situation like I am right now with a table full of cards that I'm like, where do I even start here? There are Black Star promos. I've got hundreds of Black Star promos, hundreds of holos, hundreds of, I've got these Wizards of the Coast stamped War Turtles. I know I talked to you guys about my Error double stamp that I have, but I have these single stamp regular ones. I've got like 100 of those. So it's like, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna put a lot up with like 10 of them? Am I gonna do 5 at a time? Will I lose money if I'm doing that because they're not gonna be as valuable? Should I just kind of put one at a time on the market? Like, all these things I'm asking myself, and I'm wasting time as I'm having to ask myself these questions because I just need to keep listing stuff. And while it's like, oh, it's no big deal, like, I know how to sell now, I have a new skill set and I can sell stuff online. It's very easy for me to do. There's also that time involved of thinking like, what am I gonna get for it? Should I make this free shipping? Should there be a cost to shipping? And to that point, what I've learned, something helpful in this video, I'm trying to help as much as I can without totally ranting the whole time. But one thing that I've learned is I feel like you have to charge for shipping. I feel like you have to, because if you don't, you risk the chance of an auction that starts at 0 that has free shipping going for 1 penny, and then you have to pay to ship that card out, and you've just completely wasted your time. So I think for me right now, one thing that I would recommend other people to try and do is, if you are selling a card and you're okay with getting a couple dollars for that card, and that's all you need is like a couple bucks a card, just like pay me for 10 minutes of my time, 5 minutes of my time, just give me a couple bucks. I'm now setting shipping for like $3 on all the cards that I'm sending out, no matter what the card is, just so that it, at least, like, if it gets 1 penny, I get the $3. If it costs me 50 cents, 60 cents to ship out, whatever. But there's so much that I've got to cram into such a short period of time. And if I'm getting home at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, and I'm expecting that I'm going to sell some stuff on the side, it's like I'm in overdrive. I'm like getting up early, going to the gym, going for a run, letting the dogs out, coming home, having breakfast with the girls, then going and doing something with the girls, spending some time with my family. Then before I know it, boom, it's time to go to work. I'm getting home late. I have no time to list this stuff. I have no time to make videos, and I have to make choices. And so I realized, like, I kind of just stopped tonight, and I was like, dude, just make a video. Just explain like what you're going through and make some content. Because at the end of the day, I know that what I'm doing on YouTube, I know that making content works for me and has allowed me to more sustainably collect and, see a light at the end of the tunnel. Whereas selling this stuff, I just feel like I'm not supposed to be selling. I feel like I'm doing the wrong thing with my time, and that I would be much better off just hoarding everything. And then, at Collecticon, or when I have a new buddy gets into the hobby and they want to buy my stuff, it's such an easier deal. It's like I get cash right then and there, and someone can just buy out a bunch of my cards. I think that that's a better move, and I should just be focusing on YouTube, because it's like, if it's not broken, don't fix it. I'm not doing great selling cards. I've done great selling theme decks, but I also barely put any time to that. So I love the idea of enjoying the hobby and also being able to make a good return, or at least get my equity back out of products without giving up so much time. And that's another thing. You are going to spend a lot of time and effort and energy putting all this stuff up. So you don't want to have an auction that goes for nothing, and then you're kicking yourself, just because you either lost money or you lost time and you didn't get your value on the time that you put into this stuff. So I think buy it now is a really great option for most people. For some reason, Mercari is working way better for me than eBay. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because it's a smaller market on that platform and there's less sellers on there. I don't know. But guys, just think about when you're collecting hardcore, and I know like things are calming down. I really feel like the hobby is calming down a little bit, so there's less people maybe going through this. But if you are collecting hardcore right now and you are bidding on several things a week, think about the time it's going to take you to offload that stuff down the road, right? I hate to say this because as much as I love the hobby and I love collecting Pokemon cards, you have to have an exit strategy. You have to have some kind of exit strategy. And there are plenty of people out there that could care less about an exit strategy. And that used to be me. But the more I think about how much money I have wrapped up in all of this stuff and what my financial situation is, and that I have a growing family, it's like the clock is ticking and I've got to make some hard decisions. And I think one of those hard decisions may be that I'll have to find another way to sell stuff. I don't know if I should do different listings with more cards in those listings, like do big stacks of cards and just try and get everything out quicker. But the other part of me is like, no, dude, just make content. You like making content. Do the thing that you enjoy doing. Make content and enjoy collecting cards and just enjoy the whole process. But in making content, in this process of making content, I also wanted to try different things. And that meant I was going to my local shops, trying to buy cards, trying to show you guys that you can buy cards from your local shops and then flip them online and make a little bit of profit. But it's like all the time that I put into that was worth it for the content. I will never regret making the content with it. But what I do regret is how much money I spent and how that money could have been utilized a little bit better. You know, maybe it was a good content idea, but I should have simplified it a little bit and maybe picked like 5 cards out of the shop to try and flip online and tell you guys how I did. But I just kind of went overboard. You know, I bought way too much stuff, and I didn't really take into account how much time it was going to take to unload this stuff. And in my head, if I continue down this route, right, and I probably will because I get bored and I like to be productive, so I'm going to probably be continuously listing stuff on Mercari and eBay because I know I'm never going to stop collecting. But there needs to be a balance to that, right? There needs to be a balance where I know, okay, if I'm not going to stop collecting ever, I need to make sure that I can continuously find ways to get my equity back out. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm staying on point here or if people are going to relate to what I'm going through right now. But, you know, moving forward, I want to be very specific about the things that I'm collecting and the stuff that I'm going after. And that's kind of, I guess, the whole point of this video is just to recommend people maybe take more time, do their due diligence, because I did not do enough of it. I did not do enough due diligence. I am ashamed of it in a lot of ways that I just I FOMO'd, I had impulse. I thought, okay, I'm gonna make $1,500 this week. So what does it matter if I spend, 2/3 of that? If I spend $1,000 on one card, what does it matter? But I wasn't thinking of how hard I was having to work at the bar to make that money, on top of how hard I would have to work after the fact to get that money back, sitting here trying to list stuff. On some of the higher end cards, it's so much easier to get your liquidity back because you're making that one move and you're getting so much equity back out. But on, random stuff, like I have a bunch of these promos, and I honestly think that it's worth my time for me to put these up because I think they'll probably go for around $10 a piece, something around there. But I have a huge stack of Black Star promos, and I've been putting those up all night, and I've really only gotten a couple of them up. It just takes I'm not efficient enough. I don't know if it's just because I'm ADD and I get sidetracked. I'm like responding to messages and I'm looking at the Discord and I'm checking my Facebook and my Instagram, and it's like I feel like I'm just not built to be a seller because I just get so easily distracted. And I should just stick to buying higher end cards that allow me to get my liquidity back out sooner. I know there's people out there that are selling, hundreds of cards a week. It's like, it's no issue for them. They're sitting there, they're listing stuff out, they're taking photos. I can't do that. I need to be doing something with my time that I feel like is more creative, and that's why I love making YouTube videos. This is the real reason that I love making YouTube videos, is it's that creative outlet for me. My family is full of artists, so I think for me, I enjoy Pokemon for the artwork, but I think also I enjoy the creative aspect of being able to make videos in a way that maybe other YouTubers in the Pokemon world aren't doing. Like, I feel like I'm as transparent as it comes, and I've talked about addiction, and I've talked about my struggles, and I've talked about, how it's not always rainbows on this side. You are not always going to get your money back out of cards. Sometimes you are going to lose. Sometimes you are going to have to honor auctions that, aren't favorable to you. There are so many aspects to collecting that kind of get lost as you're going along. And I'm just trying to remind everybody that at some point, maybe never, for some of you, you may never sell your collection. There may never be a time where you need money. There may never be a time where you want to go through the effort. There may never be a time where you feel like, you want to sell a bunch of your stuff and put, 30, 40, 50 cards, put that into one card. Maybe you just buy stuff as money comes in and you don't have a process to it. There's no methodology to it. I get that there are going to be people out there that just collect to collect, and that's it. That's period. But it's just, I'm struggling with how much stuff I'm going to actually have to sell and get rid of here. And it's stressful and it's time consuming. And I think I've gotten that point across. I'm just kind of ranting and venting to you guys like I always do, but these are the realities of selling Pokemon cards. And for me personally, it's not very sustainable. For me personally, it doesn't feel good sitting in this room and listing stuff all night and like taking tons of photos. When I get the sales, it feels good, right? It's very validating when people buy items, buy products from me. But on the flip side, I would have never had to do that in the first place if I would have been more specific about the things that I've purchased. Now, I will say, I'm still very proud of myself. I've come a long way as a collector. I've come a long way as, doing more of my due diligence, learning more about what cards are really going for, learning more about, what people are really buying and the stuff that is going to be easier to sell and harder to sell. But I still have a long way to go. And I think that Collecticon will be really great for my exposure. I think that will teach me a lot about, what people are trying to acquire, as well as how easily or how difficult people are, at times people are having in terms of getting rid of stuff. So yeah, that'll all be interesting. But I want to know what you guys think. I want to know, are you guys right now, are you in the midst of selling stuff right now? Are you having trouble? Is it stressful? Are you finding that it's taking way too much time out of your day, out of your nights? And do you feel like it's worth your time to be, selling all these cards? I think that's one of my favorite things about making videos, is that no matter what I do, I can at least talk about it and get something back out of it by sharing my experiences and kind of the motions that I'm going through, right? So either way, it's like I can turn lemons into lemonade because of my channel and because what that has allowed me to do in terms of the exposure and, expressing myself and being creative, and also, monetizing kind of my failures, right? I think that's one of the biggest things here, is that like, I've screwed up. I've made mistakes. I'm willing to admit that I've made mistakes, and I'm growing from those, and I'm collecting differently now, and I'm proud of that. And I've also stepped back in a big way. Like, I've really been chilling, other than, I buy a nice card every now and again, but again, everything that I'm looking at lately and that I'm considering buying, like I'm even on the edge about buying nice, PSA 9 graded cards. I'm skeptical about everything now. And I didn't used to be that way. I used to be, very just on board with kind of picking up whatever I liked, whatever the price was. And I know that's like just so ignorant and idiotic, but that's how I operated as an early collector. My wife is looking at me right now like, yep, that's how he operated. He would just buy, whatever he felt like buying and taking risks and worrying about it later. But, I wouldn't change anything, right? Everybody has a different strategy. Everybody has different emotions that they go through, different experiences. And my experience is very relatable to a lot of people, I'm sure. But it's also not unique. A lot of people get in the hobby, they don't do their research, they don't know everything they should, and that does take time, right? I don't think there's anybody that comes into this hobby and knows, everything about all the cards right off the bat. There are some of you out there that are very, very well researched and, seasoned, I guess, and you've been following the hobby from a distance and kind of know a good bit about it. But coming into it fresh, I didn't know anything. And so everything has been a learning experience as far as collecting goes. And I'm okay with that. And I'm happy that I have a community to, vent to, express this to. And, I want to hear kind of other people's thoughts. I want to hear what you guys think about this. I want to hear if you're, what is your experience right now in terms of, selling and collecting stuff? Has it been hard to let go of stuff? Are you struggling, with the attachment side of things? And that's another thing that I'm not going to go into much, but it's very hard to let go of stuff. For me personally, it's very, very hard for me to let go of stuff. I feel like I'm failing if I'm letting go of stuff, right? Like, for me to sell things, it implies that I can't afford to keep them. So that's a psychological thing, and that's an issue that I have. I went to private schools. My parents could barely afford to send me there, but they did. They spent every dime trying to give me a good education, and I was around wealth a lot as a young guy, and so I wanted nice things, whether it was watches or jewelry or cars or Pokemon cards. Like, I always wanted the best of the best, and I'm very competitive. That's my nature. I'm a very competitive person, and that's tough when you're in a hobby that you're not well versed at, and there are always going to be collectors with nicer stuff that are making better plays, and it's hard for me to accept that, hey, I'm a little guy and I'm still fresh to this hobby. Even after a couple years, it feels like I'm still fresh to this hobby, and it's a weird feeling. But I'm glad I get to share everything with you guys, and I just want to know y'all's thoughts on everything. And is it hard to let go of stuff, or is it easy for you? Is it just cardboard, or do you form an attachment to this stuff? Anyways, guys, that's all I got for you. Just trying to keep it real. This is the end of the reality of selling Pokemon cards. Appreciate you guys. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know what you're going through. Let me know what you're experiencing right now in the hobby. If you feel good, bad, just whatever. Anyways, peace, guys.